it had all been a blur. 10 hours on the road every other day. A different people and culture to anything I'd ever seen. Multiple once-in-a-lifetime experiences.
Massive hippo.
Thank you, buddy.
A new world. But there had only ever been one reason why we came to Uganda in the first place. When I received the email all those weeks ago, that one thing was what caught my eye. A chance to see gorillas in the wild. These had been my favorite animals since I was a kid, and I was not going to miss out on this opportunity. This one moment, these few minutes, is what the whole trip had been building up to. The day before, we set off early in the morning. Another full day of driving lay ahead of us. Again, I was struck by the diversity of this country. The dense jungle of Kibale was quickly replaced with lush, green, rolling hills, in a landscape that seemed like a bigger, otherworldly European countryside. We were now fully in Western Uganda. And Umar told me that they
call it the Switzerland of Africa.
So almost at Bwindi now. We've been driving for probably about 8 or 9 hours. We just stopped here just to see the valley because it's absolutely incredible where these people live. It's like this kind of farming land, but the valley gets super deep along this, I guess what was a river hundreds of years ago. And it just goes right through, super green. The sun's hitting it perfectly right now. It's amazing. Legend has it that Mark Berchtold said this was the most incredible landscape he's ever seen. The Mark Berchtold. So I don't know what that means, guys, but it means something. Thank you very much. Oh, great, thank you. I think this is my favorite place I've been to by far. This is stupid. And now it's just about to pour with rain, so inside. We are in the clouds. This is called Clouds Lodge for a reason.
As we set out before sunrise, we found the same valley enveloped in fog and mist. A sense of anticipation had set into all of us as we stopped quickly to take it in.
So this is it. This is the morning of the gorilla watching. We got about a 2-hour journey to get there. So we just stopped off here for a couple of minutes to, well, I don't really need to explain why. We're just about to head off to see these beautiful creatures. This is the reason why we came to Uganda. Although everything else has been incredible beyond expectations, this is the reason why we came here. This is the highlight of the trip. This is what everything has been building up to. And today's the day. So car's starting up right now. Gonna hop back in, take one last look at this, and then let's start. There's actually 3 species of gorillas. One species lives in the central Western Africa. The Western lowland gorilla, there's about 100,000 of those. And then in Eastern Africa, you've got the Eastern lowland gorillas, which are about 5,000. And then you've got the mountain gorillas in the east, which are the ones we're going to see today. And there's only around 800 of them left in the wild. Despite the range in numbers, every single one of these species, so all gorillas existing in the world, are listed as critically endangered. In the 1960s and 70s, the population of mountain gorillas actually went down to around 250. And it's actually been steadily recovering since, mainly thanks to successful ecotourism movements, basically such as the one that we're on now, which is an effort to kind of reserve their habitat through the funds of tourism, but doing that tourism in a very sustainable way, in a way that won't interfere with their habitat and the gorillas themselves. Which actually means that the mountain gorilla population right now is steadily increasing by about 3% every year. So good things are happening. Okay, so we just found out that they're really close. We just met the trackers, and that means that the trackers have found them and located them, backed off a bit, and it means they're very, very close. So now we have to speak in low tones. Oh, wow. And as I was saying that, there's literally one down there right now.
We came across them suddenly, much sooner than we thought. The first was a huge silverback, sitting down, eating the plants around him. I was not expecting to see them this fast and this close. You can barely see him through this lens right now, but it's literally 3 meters right there. Every now and then they would move a few meters, sit down, and start eating again. So the average size of these gorillas is about the same height as me, about 180 centimeters. And they reach weights on an average about 160 kilograms, which is over twice the weight of me. Usually the males and the bigger ones can actually reach up to about 260 kilos, which is like 4 times heavier than me. And on average, they're 6 times stronger than a grown man. This looks like feeding and chilling time for the gorillas. We moved down the mountainside, the guides cutting through the thick vegetation. In the path that they had made, an infant came right up to me.
Is the baby this side?
And grabbed my leg.
Yeah, you can move down. He's so curious, he likes touching people, and the rules and regulations don't allow us for gorillas to touch us, but it seems he doesn't know 7 meters rule.
This guy's really curious right now. We came down a little bit, and we found a big silverback over there, and this small baby here, who just grabbed my leg. After showing us he was boss, he settled down right in front of me, and followed in his father's footsteps.
Yeah, there is a mom with it's a group of 10. They are scattered people. And it's not a guarantee that we must see 10. Otherwise, sure. You want to go to the rest of the group? Yes, I can. Okay, just fine.
Suddenly, the silverback came out of the bushes.
Keine Panik, alles gut.
And collected the infant.
Yeah, we will be silverback. Yeah. 14 years.
As we moved further down, we found Grandpa. So I think this is the last gorilla we're going to see today.
Got 5 minutes left spending time with him. He's the oldest one in the group. He's the third general. So he was the leader, and then he got beaten by a younger silverback, so now he's kind of being the advisor to the group. And they're all just very relaxed, very chill, just munching, feeding.
Our time came to an end, and we moved up the mountain back towards the path. On the way, we had one last encounter. Which was a reminder of respect towards these animals. I wonder about the people living on the hills nearby, and if, when they look over at the mountain, they think about the gorillas.
That was such a unique and intense experience with those creatures. Completely different from the chimpanzees. Definitely has been the highlight of the trip in a lot of ways. Can't stop thinking about that little one, and I've got like the big silverback's face in my mind. Gorillas have always been one of my favorite animals. My two favorite animals are gorillas and jaguars. And I remember when I was like 10 or 11 years old, making this presentation on the computer, like an old like PowerPoint presentation about how we can save the gorillas. And I remember making it about mountain gorillas and using facts about mountain gorillas, like how many there were, how endangered they were, blah blah blah. I never did anything with it. I just made it. I was very excited about it. I think I showed my mom and dad, and then nothing happened. I don't know. I didn't do any fundraising or anything like that. And now I just got to see them in the wild, in their natural habitat, where they belong. And it's such a special moment for me. And I hope that making this video, I can have some kind of impact on the people who watch this. If not to do anything, just to be more aware of what's going on with some of these big creatures and the pressure we're putting on them, and how some of these efforts to conserve them has been really successful, and we have the ability to do great things. Standing here now in Chameleon Lodge, which is a few hours drive away. It's probably one of the best views I've ever seen in my life.
Chameleon Lodge was situated on Lake Matunda, where the Virunga volcanoes dominate the horizon.
That's where we were just staying. It's Chameleon Lodge right there. We're now heading down to get the boat.
We're ready for you. Great. Pause for the picture.
Ask mich. Wunderbar. Bye. Thanks for the visit. It was great having you.
After saying some goodbyes, we set off towards a very special island on the lake. On this island lived a community of people. They had very limited access to the mainland, almost no education, and the nearest hospital was overcrowded, 15 kilometers away, and only accessible by canoe. Despite the living conditions, when we arrived, we were greeted with nothing but joy.
Ogambachi. Liborunji. Ogambachi.
Bye. Bye.
Katarebe. Ogambachi. Liborunji. Waraje. Liborunji. Ogambachi. Ugambache mozungu. Ugambachi mozungu. Waraye. Grangego. Amakuru. Meza. So here's a patch of sweet potatoes. Apparently they grow nice sweet potatoes here. There's about 200 people living here on this island, just maybe an hour boat ride from the lodge we were just at. I've learned about 3 words in Ugandan. Omgambachi means what's up. Muzungu means white person, pretty much, or like foreigner or whatever. Liboronji, I think it means like, I'm good, thanks. Thomas. You? That's a really long name. Jovairo.
Yes.
Just learned a new word, Maraya, means good morning. Maraya. Ah, Naraye. So it's saying Naraye Muzungu, which means good morning, white foreigner.
Good morning. Waraye Muzungu.
Yeah, very good. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Ah, you speak a little bit English too, right? Now I've got 2 holding my hand. Oh, no.
Waraye Muzungu. Uganda. Muzungu.
Warai.
And she's, I think, still strong. She can still walk now. She's 80 years now.
Arriba. This guy's speaking Spanish. Arriba.
Chameleon Lodge has an NGO set up to help these people with literacy, education, transport system, and agriculture. It was a pretty moving experience to see people that owned so little and had such big smiles. We then caught a ride on what they call boda bodas to a small coffee farm.
Working our way up now towards a coffee plantation. Just gonna stop here for like 10 minutes, see what they do. Hopefully try a coffee and then go back.
This one smells good.
For the white ones, it's medium.
As we tried the coffee, there was one in specific I absolutely loved. The other type of coffee was on sale, and I bought that. But because they recognized that I was saying I love this other coffee so much, they stopped me before I left, gave me a whole bag,
Thank you very much, guys. It was amazing.
and wouldn't let me pay for it.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. They're very strong. Omgambache. Liboronji.
After that, I stopped filming so much. From something like a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. We had done so much in so little time, and I wanted to savor this last stretch. In the last few days, we hosted a workshop in Kampala.
Why I should be on Facebook? It's like throwing paper in the fire.
iPhone to earphone.
It's maybe iMovie that
Stayed at the last incredible lodge, right on the River Nile. And did epic whitewater rafting. The trip had come to an end. Just before we left to the airport, we had dinner with Umar and his family.
But everyone says Mali. That's the place where all the guns.
I have a son with the same name, Tariq.
Really? Yeah?
And said goodbye to a friend we'll never forget.
It's T-A-R-I.
Uganda. See you again soon.